the Raw Spirit Festival, and Katie and I are lucky enough to talk to Happy Oasis. She's the Chief Visionary Officer for this wonderful event, Raw Spirit. Thank you for joining us, Happy.
I'm delighted. Thank you so much.
So what inspired you to start this event?
Wow, there were a multitude of factors, and I started this event before I was born. It actually started in my mother's womb because she had a proclivity for junk food. She loved ice cream and chocolate, and I think those were the primary ingredients she enjoyed while I was in the womb. And so I was born, I was not very well, and I was a colicky child, and I was sick throughout my youth and young adulthood, and having discovered raw vegan food, it cured literally my typhoid fever, tuberculosis, arthritis, diabetes, chronic fatigue, and a number of other ailments. And after a few years, 7 years of being 100% raw, I woke up one day at New Year's Day. I thought, I am so happy. And I am so healthy. And I realized for 7 years straight, I have been so happy and so healthy that I thought, what about everybody else? You know, when you live at a Buddhist monastery, that's a principle of bodhisattva, of like going to heaven in your own life and then coming back down to earth to make sure everybody else there can also enjoy heaven on earth. So I thought, what about everybody else who's just like me? So I thought, I better spread this news about this miracle that's so simple about just plainly eating food but not cooking it, making sure it's organic and vegetarian, vegan, is so that's how the festival began. And then there's many funny stories about it. But basically, it started with just me. And for 3 years, I thought about where to do it and how to do it and what it's going to look like. And then 5 years ago was the first one with just a few people. And now it's thousands of people.
Yeah, that's great.
Each year, yes.
And so what are some of the things you've been happiest about the outcome of these events?
Well, what I love is the sprouting of the international community, because these actually started also because I was an anthropologist. I love to call myself an adventure anthropologist. I was adopted by more than a dozen tribal families in various countries, way out in the countryside. In Thailand, Burma, Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Malaysia, just to name a few. And a lot of these families who adopted me, they became victims of genocide. After some time, I was in 7 battles, and I ended up at refugee camps and orphanages working with some of these families. And so I thought to myself after a while, I'm tired of being the elder here, because I was only in my 20s and 30s. I thought, I'd like to be around people who will outlive me.
Yeah.
And I wonder who are the people who have already, have created the armaments of war, and the people who created the televisions, and the people who already know about TV and its detrimental aspects and its positive aspects, and those who are already aware of Marlboro cigarettes and Coca-Cola and all these trappings of modern society. And so I thought, I better come back to America. So that's why I came back to America and thought, our tribe is not just one culture that's dying, our tribe is being born. Because we can use all the benefits of technology in moderation, just like this movie camera right here, and then use it for beneficial purposes. So it's really exciting times because it feels like we're just beginning, and that millions of people are going to be joining us in dozens of countries around the world over the next 25 years.
You know, and something you're bringing up that I want to commend you for is that you're bringing together a community. And we were speaking with a good friend of ours last night who was talking about the way we're socialized in the Western culture into being so independent and so individual and so isolated. People live alone. They start living their lives very isolated, and it is just beautiful to see the way you've brought together a community. And one of the things that I'm noticing is that it isn't just about the food. And at Raw People, we're trying to educate people about the lifestyle. And I've noticed that you have brought people in who do music and who do poetry and have lots of different kinds of aspects of quality, healthy life. And I'm wondering, how do you get people to come here? Is this something you go out and actually do, or are people approaching you? And how do you see this evolving into bringing more of the community together in the future?
I approach people and people approach me.
Okay.
So it's a mutual attraction. And so we receive now perhaps 5 CDs and videos sometimes per day of potential presenters. So at this point, we're getting to be almost like Hollywood producers.
I love
it's
it.
surprising me. Well, we have to be selective, and so what we do is we focus on those people who are already raw vegetarian.
Okay.
Or I like to say raw vegetarian friendly, because we've all been in transition. So those people who are heading in that direction, we like to support those musicians and artists and inventors and speakers who are in that. And our speakers are pretty much all raw vegetarian, because they're our leaders. And then the musicians, all the bands and groups are raw vegetarian friendly. That means at least 70% of their band members are raw vegetarian.
Okay.
And we try to say 70% raw at least, so that people, I notice that people have at least that much raw. It means they're consciously making an effort, and they usually can feel and value the difference that it makes in their lives. So that it really is raw miracles. There's nothing short of miracles, because of really thousands of different ailments I've heard of have been overcome by this unusual diet.
What are some of the challenges that have come up in putting together a large event like this? And I know this year there are 3 instead of 1 that you had in Sedona the last few years. Are you running up against some challenges that that are helping you grow personally and working through, and that as a community we can all support you as we learn about this? People will be watching this podcast, and if there's a message that we could get out there in some way to help support this for the future, to make it easier for you, and what can we all do to help keep this going?
That's so loving. Thank you for caring.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the best thing to do is to show up. Is to come to the Raw Spirit festivals, and that shows us your support. And to volunteer, if you like to go that route, for volunteers it's free. Or to pay as a participant, come as a vendor, come as a sponsor, as a donor. We're a 501c3 nonprofit.
Oh, wonderful.
So we always just barely break even. So we try to estimate about how many people will come. And then we lowered our ticket price substantially this year by 60%. And you were asking what kind of challenges happen, and people just like walk right through in front of video cameras.
And we just love them anyway. God bless you.
And that's just an example of life as a producer, that these things happen. And now in our 5th year, I used to say we're blissing forth.
Yeah.
And now I feel like this is my 5th baby.
Yeah. Oh.
And so what happens, I guess, I've never had children in this lifetime, but when people have their 5th child, they suddenly get relaxed, and they're like, oh well. So what we do is we do our best that we can in every realm. We're quick to say I'm sorry when it's needed and really mean it. And we love working with people. We love people. We love beautiful places. And so people have been very gracious with us, but there's just all kinds of challenges. And I would say that our strongest asset is forgiveness and loving kindness. That we teach our staff to have instantaneous, real, sincere forgiveness, and loving kindness and compassion. And bottom line is having a lot of fun, mixed with all that.